Nakabiro?
First of all, comment ko lang po kay Kuyang Antro kanina. Gusto ko lang pong i-extend yung point niya. Sabi niya kasi kanina, hindi lang po si Marcos yung humawak ng martial law, pero may chronic po siya. So, gusto ko lang pong sabihin na kung mag-blame tayo or maghahanap tayo ng accountability, wala nang sense or at least hindi gaanong rational na sasabihin natin na si Marcos lang. Kasi hindi lang naman siya yung nakinabang sa martial law. So, kailangan din natin itanong kung sino-sino pa ba. At least yung mga buhay pa, kasi pwede pa nating habulin yun, di ba? Pwede pa nating ma-confiscate yung kayamanan nila. Well, and then, yung tungkol din sa personification ng history na dinidehumanize na natin yung narrative kay Marcos. Yung comment ko lang po doon ay the fact na tinatawag mong Marcos authoritarianism, yung nangyari ng martial law, ay personified na siya mismo. So yung problema ko din doon, dahil personified siya, hindi mo malalaman yung conditions kung kailan pwede mag-arise na magkakaroon ng panibagong authoritarian ruler na pwedeng gamitin ulit yung nangyari ng una sa mangyayari sa susunod na panahon. Hindi ko naman po sinasabi na walang nag-improve sa mga Pilipino, pero kung titingnan natin, halimbawa yung sa Yolanda, kung titingnan nyo yung Facebook newsfeed nyo, yung mga tao masyado silang, observation ko lang to, pwede ako maging mali kasi anecdotal to, pwede natin masabi na kulang sila sa critical thinking katulad ng sinabi sa data kanina, dahil nga masyado silang trigger happy sa pagko-comment sa mga bagay. Hindi mo na sila nagbabasa o hindi sila nag-iisip. Well, hindi naman sa pagiging elitist, pero cite tayo ng example, like yung sa American intervention or yung sa tulong ng mga Amerikano dun sa Visayas, meron tayong picture na kumakalat na yung Amerika gagawing 52nd state or 51st state, yung Tacloban or yung Region 8. So it sounds absurd, right? Pero totoong may mga taong ganito. So yung isa pang problema dito ay hindi lang to matter ng structure or agency or kung sino yung i-correct mo, yung structure ba or yung agency, pero pareho din. Kailangan nating tingnan yung sitwasyon kung paano na nag-encourage sa mga taong, opportunista. Tapos kailangan din natin i-identify yung mga taong opportunista para mapigilan sila sa pag-exploit ng mga sitwasyong katulad nito. So, example din, hindi lang si Marcos si Erap, si Gloria, tapos maybe in 2017, maybe si Pinoy din, or sila Enrile, di ba? So, pwedeng mangyari to in the near future at nangyayari din, hindi lang si Marcos. So, yung mas importanteng tanong dito, paano natin mababago, ano yung kilos na gagawin natin para mapigilan yung pagiging uncritical ng mga tao, yung pagkalimot nila sa mga ginawang kalokohan ng iba dyan. Halimbawa, yung kay Gloria, nanalo pa siya. Si Erap, nanalo pa siya. Tapos yung iba naman, kapag hindi nananalo na papasok sa ospital or minsan kinakalimutan na lang ng mga tao. So, yung tanong dito, paano natin mapipigilan yung mga ganitong pangyayari? Kasi it does not make sense na rin kung mag-speculate lang tayo kung ano yung nangyari. So, mas may benefit tayo kung gagawin natin na kung paano natin mapipigilan yung nangyaring historical revisionism.
Apat natin tagapagsalita na sasagot sa...
Ako isa. Para mapipigilan? Gamitin nyo yung Facebook, sabayan nyo. Ganun klase yun. Sabi nyo nga, trigger happy. Bakit? Ganun naman Yun lang kagandahan nga with what we have today with regard to mobile content. Diba? The only difficulty is that there is no accountability. There is anonymity, and no accountability, which makes for people being indiscriminate with what they say. But if we take the experience of other countries using social media, diba? It's a tool for frivolity, but it's also a tool for national redemption. It's so powerful, and I dare say it's egalitarian. Anybody can use it. So, yun na nga. Labanan na ngayon kung sino, pagalingan na lang talaga sa social media.
Comment mula kay Professor Llanes.
Yeah. Sasagot ako doon kasi qualification ko rin addict ako sa Facebook. Mga Facebook friends ko na. So, tama yung sabi ni Mr. Hernandez. Hindi makipagsagutan ka rin. Halimbawa, nung lumabas yung column ni Solita Monson, call it, sabi niya, syuda, buda, ba't na puro syuda, buda yung mga tao? Eh, di sogot din ako, sabi ko, it's fine. What's wrong if people are, sasabihin ng mga tao, it should be like this, it should have been this. Then, ang point ko, the people are unempowered. And this is the only venue that they could vent at makapagpahayo. I think if there was no storm surge of criticisms, baka lalong mabagal yung response na yan. I think it was ang importante lang is you could also help shape the opinion in Facebook. If you think na medyo wala sa lugar yung then you can just respond. It's been open siya wala namang limits kung mali yung pinost niya. Minsan kasi hindi pa talaga tweet or spin, ini-spin nila. Or they Photoshop. I think, doon din papasok yung critical thinking. So ito, since our topic is about yung persona ng mga namuno, I think this is a good venue for yung helping shape yung critical understanding of what's happening. Kaya okay lang. Kasi meron talagang, hindi maalis yun, meron talagang siraulo dyan. O yung nature, mga reaction, I think it's normal. Kasi mukhang yun ang nature ng social media. It tends to cultivate yung nature. Makakita lang ng ganyan, isi-share agad na hindi pa nasusuri kung talaga totoo. Sometimes I also commit a mistake. Although ako, because I try to be responsible, binabawi ko. Sabihin ko, I posted this na mukhang mali pala yun. Pero not everybody is like that. Siguro, pag nandun nasa cyberspace na yan, ang hirap ng paano mo papabalikin yung di ba? Sabihin, may pitfalls din ng social media. It's so easy to comment on public issues that kung minsan nagkamali yung yung na-post mo. Paano mong i-bring down yung di ba? Kaya tama din naman yung point mo, we should be careful. But may iba talaga hindi yung mga control. Ang hirap.
Unsolicited advice siguro, be more discerning, loosen up. Alam mo namang kalokohan niya yun, 50 seconds stay. Just ignore it. Don't get too hot about it. Number 2, we have to be discerning. We cannot immediately say that Mr. Era tried to set up an authoritarian regime. Probably GMA, but not Era. So, when you say, ano ang pwede natin gawin para mapigilan kung ang pagbalik ng isang authoritarian system or authoritarian regime? Kasi baka mangyari, then we have to know what it looks like. What are the components of that regime? And we may have to do something not only online but offline. Much of the political battle will have to be offline. hindi, yung sustained conversation sa mga tao, hindi magagawa ng basta-basta offline. Kailangan may combination ng offline and online conversation. Sabihin nyo na siguro na old-fashioned ako, pero iba ang nagagawa ng offline conversation. Mas madaling hindi magkaintindihan sa online. No? Samantalang offline, kung ano man ang pagkakamali mo, nababawi mo agad. Maraming salamat.
One more question. The girl. First time daw may girl. Sabi ni Professor Yan.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Mitch Gordon. I'm fourth year BA Political Science. So since the topic of social media has been raised, I think we should also note the perceived level of technological disenfranchisement of the electoral basis C and D, E, because the discourse has been revolving around you should post it on Facebook, you should be more critical, you should be more discerning. I think one of my question is, do you think that the perceived technological disenfranchisement of the electoral basis C, D, and E is part and parcel of why public figures such as ERA, the Marcoses for this matter, Gloria, has been catapulted into public office again? And if such, a corollary question rises. If beyond the knee-jerk response of, giving the resolution, just give them access to computers, how can we correct this disenfranchisement of these cases? Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that the disenfranchisement is a key factor in the victory of any political candidate that relies on groundwork. Ganyan. Now, there is something you should realize. No? IT right now is not just about computers. It's about mobile devices. In fact, if you recall yung EDSA DOS, EDSA 2, kasi when Ninoy was assassinated, it took media 3 years to mobilize. Diba? 3 years of continuous rallies in Ayala, confetti parades and all of that until 1986. In less than 1/4 of the time, actually, ERA quit immediately. Akala namin tatagal pa sayang. Pero kasi nasa media ako nun eh. Anyway, yung texting ang nagdala dun yung mobile. And now, with the advent of smartphones that are within reach of even the C, D, and E crowds, as you notice, the disenfranchisement would probably be in a different form. Kasi nga, may mga text blasts na ginagawa precisely because the campaign strategists understand the value of mobile content. Kaya nga, ganun din yung those who really know how to handle themselves using mobile devices, you really have to help. Like I said, discussions at your community level, person to person, unbeatable yon. Kaya lang yung reach nga kasi with just the person. Pero if you could magnify that kind of discussion onto your mobile devices, yun yung mga inaasahan ng mga campaign strategists. So really, it's a double-edged sword. The technology is there. It's fast becoming very pervasive across social strata.
Thank you. Yes, I'd just like to add to what Butch said. When the use of IT, and say the social media has been talked about, especially after the Barack Obama win, and the attribution to the social media, Facebook, Twitter, and other. Ginamit din namin. But personally, I do not think that our country has reached that level na pwede pa. Kasi yung issues ang pinag-usapan dito, And you know, as you said, the CDME, well, some of them have access. No, you would be surprised. However, the level of communication that they input or that they are engaged in social media is different. No? It's more of a personal, what do you call it, social, purely social. It has not yet reached the, the political discourse type of, so yun ang wala pa. Pero sa text blasting, common fare na mo yung ginagamit yun. Now, with regards, and also in connection to the question of the gentleman earlier about how the youth can help and in elevating the electoral capability of our social media, dapat siguro magtayo kayo ng isang page, and then maybe on that page, parang corny na siguro, pero you can discuss things, you can cite people who have made some good in the community, society, and things like that, and perhaps this would be a start. So, did we answer your question?
One last comment before we close.
Okay yung social media, but in the last senatorial elections, it appears hindi siya decisive. No? Ibig sabihin, ang decisive pa rin yung transmittal from social media to the other media. It is not social media itself. Ang minimeasure na, I was able to attend a certain forum on the role of social media in the last elections. Mukhang hindi siya decisive. Ang decisive pa rin is yung may dimension ng dapat na transmit, okay, nag-usap sa social media, pero yung transmittal dun sa other media. Like tabloids, or if that happens, okay siya. Pero otherwise, isang maliit na chamber lang yung social media. Na tayo nag-uusap, na marunong mag-uusap yan sa mga bagay na yan. But otherwise, it's not decisive. In the Obama campaign, it was mentioned by Professor Jerry, hindi rin decide, well, to a certain, iba kasi ang context ng states, But, if you look at the Obama campaign, grassroots siya na. In the end, ultimately, yung measure ng efficacy or effectiveness ng social media would be measured dun sa mga, nag-organize sila ng mga block meetings, by blocks, the residences. And kasi I latched on to this campaign ni Obama. Ay, pumasok ako. And then, social media. Kasi meron sila social media yung, something like that. So, sumama ako nung presidential elections. Medyo nahiya na ako itong mga last, nag-unsubscribe. Kasi humihingi lagi ng $5, $1. Eh, baka kung ma-identify ako, mapahiya naman ng UP, dala ko pangalan ng UP. So I stopped. But ang technique na dyan, okay, mag-donate ka, that's one measure. That means quantifiable yun. Na concretely nag-support ka. Aside from that, kapag ikaw sasabihin ka na, can you meet certain number of people here in your block? And then we will meet with you. So measured yun. In our case here, tama yung sinabi ni Jerry, wala tayo sa ganung level. Ang ating social media is chika-chika. And to a very limited extent, yung mga intellectuals, yung middle class, ayan, tayo, alam mo, marami nakakapasa sa atin, hindi tayo lang nagbabatukan nun. Masyado tayong bilib sa sarili natin, hindi nakakarating sa masa yun. No?
Okay. I saw the gentleman up there in the gallery wanted to ask a question. The one, glasses? Sige, sumigaw ka na lang. Sige, check ka na. Makikita namin.
Yung tanong ko lang po kasi nung nag-present ko ng video kanina, medyo narito po ako kasi medyo legitimate naman yung mga data na linabas nila, katulad ng mga naipagawa ni Marcos, yung mga information pa na linagay nila doon. So ang tanong ko, kaninong history ba dapat yung sinasalaysay natin? Kasi yun yung hindi ko ma-resolve ngayon sa utak ko eh. Ano yung dapat ilagay natin sa mga textbook? Ano yung dapat ikwento natin sa mga kababayan natin para, ewan ko, Dapat ba yung kwento na yun may manitutulong o dapat ba maging sobrang objective natin na mag-present tayo ng mga datos, kayo na bahala kung paano mag-decide given this data.
O, mga historians yata dapat sumunod dyan. Kung anong
So, depende yan kung saan ka nanggagaling eh. No? Kasi halimbawa ako, I would teach yung sabi, I would quote them just as yung scenes of martial law. Yun ang tinuturo ko sa klase. I don't know my other colleagues. No? Kung ako ang state, and I think it's now being done, na dapat ituro, yun ang ipapaturo dapat. Para sa akin. Kaya nga ang aking premise kanina doon sa aking presentation. Okay, pag sinabi yung revisionist history, no? That's yung negative revisionist history, no? Na may binabago. Dapat may prevailing narrative. Ang problema para sa akin, hindi rin naman defined yung narrative na yun. And if you look at it closely, mukhang ang narrative hindi naman negative sa market, sa mga market. Especially, kailangan mag-segment ka na dito ng period, historical period, post-1986. And then titingnan mo yung age brackets ng mga tao dyan. Ang hirap ang hirap ikakon. No? Pero kung ako yung anong dapat, para sa akin ang dapat mapakita na hindi mabuti yung martial law. No, yun ang para sa akin. Ngayon, kaya importante yung critical thinking dito kasi pag tinignan mo yung sinasabi din ni Marcos na marami kang pinagawa ng tulay. Pero very isolated mo yung cultural center of the Philippines, maliliit yan eh. Doon sa kailangan talaga ng bayan. No? Tapos magkano yan? Tapos magkano dyan ang naraket? Everything. So, ang technique nila, dun sa propaganda technique nila is to present half-truths. No? Half-truths. Kasi pwede mong i-evaluate yan eh. Pwede mong i-accounting lahat yan. Tapos relationship nila sa national development talaga natin. Na-uplift ba yung poor? Pag tinignan mo yan, lumaki yung mga nag-OFW during the time of Marcos. Nagtayo ka ng cultural center, pero yung paglabas ng ating mga workers, nag-start ng martial law. In other words, yung poverty lumaki. My wife works in a bank, no? And nung time ng Marcos, doon nagbagsakan ng mga bangko. I was organizing mga bank employees. Ang problem ng mga bank employees is how to retain their jobs. And if they will be removed from employment, sana man lang may separation pay. And some of these bank employees, these are middle class. No? Mga middle class no. Ang problema nila, magpipiket sila, hindi nila nararanasan yung mag-welga. And during Marcos time, yung mga bank employees, nararanasan mag-welga and to stay with picket na. Yung titira ka sa labas ng candy. So, that's different. Hindi nakikita yun to. No? So, yung capital flight, napakalaki. You can talk about so many things about the economy. Napagsak talaga. Kaya talagang yung para sa akin, yung mga yun, in quotation marks, revisionism. Kasi hindi yun talaga ang nangyayari. Yun ang aking
What would like to say word to the act?
I am obviously not a historian, although I like history. May I offer a reason why you are confused? I think we're confused because our narratives are not consistent. Dapat yung post-1986 narrative consistent sa 1986. 1986 happened. Pero kung yung narrative mo after 1986, parang mali ang 1986, talagang mako-confuse tayo. Kapag ganon, lalabas, mali ang 86 at tama ang martial law. Now, when we say tama o mali, we're not saying 100% mali or 100% tama. I would like to adopt the formula of Mao. 70% tama, 30% mali. Tama. May weights. So, pwede natin isama yung mga highway, pwede natin isama yung mga San Juanico Bridge, pwede natin isama rin yung human rights violation, etc. etc. Tapos gamitin natin yung discernment natin. Tama ba o mali? Alin ang mas maganda? Maraming salamat.
As historian, would you also like to comment, Dr. Jose?
Well, I'm a historian, but I'm currently director of Federal Studies Center, which is not specifically on history alone. So professionally, I'm a historian, but I also deal with cross-disciplinary issues of current events. And I experienced the martial law regime personally. I saw quite a lot of what happened, not in the way that Bong would have seen it. We all have our own perceptions of what happened there. That's why in a sense it's difficult to actually say what did happen, because sa dami ng perspektiva, you do have a very complex idea. If it's one narrative that becomes the strong narrative, that's what we tend to pick up. But I think the dangers that we have now, which have been shown here actually, how media can be manipulated, how textbooks can actually, it's very difficult to actually go. I also experienced the process of going over textbooks, and some of the ones I went through were really terrible. And I think 89 hindi pa ganun ka-stricto yung textbook review, yung textbook screening. But I've screened textbooks that were really very wrong. So it's a whole process, and I think also so education. So I think maybe in light of what was discussed this afternoon, we tackled several aspects. We had intended actually to focus on a particular angle, and it just went from one thing to another, which was very interesting, very exciting in a way. So yeah, as from a historian and also into other fields, then I'd like to thank all of you for staying on to the end. And
okay, so on that note, there's one past but many histories. So I think I would, accept the suggestion of Professor Bong that you really will have to have everything. I mean, that's, I think, the difference between social memory and historical awareness. Kasi social memory, it can change. But with historical awareness, talagang you have to accommodate everything, negative or positive. Also, siguro yung pagtuturo ng martial law sa kasaysayan, makita mo lahat. And based on that information, the student is left to be able to give an informed opinion, which is the critical thinking that is being mentioned. So on that note, I would like to thank Third World Studies Center for this forum, its speakers, Professor Amado Mendoza,